Today we will be learning about the organizational life cycle theory and the different stages in which an organization goes through.
OLC theory. A business organization goes through the stages of birth, youth, and maturity. It faces a predictable series of organizational crises, and like people and plants, organizations have life cycles. Take, for example, the film The Social Network. In fall 2003, Mark Zuckerberg was a college student at Harvard University studying computer science. When the idea to create a social network for college students, a site for students to visit with friends, check on them, essentially taking the whole college experience and putting it on the internet, which in essence turned Facebook into a global internet phenomenon. Organizational growth and movement vary through stages, like in the film Social Network. Dependent on internal and external factors, Mark, along with other business partners, were able to help grow Facebook into the largest social media site. Every organization develops at its own pace. Some may be slow, rapid, or a combination of the two. Not all organizations progress through all the stages.
The first stage of OLC model is the entrepreneur stage.
There are three parts to the entrepreneurial stage. First is concepts: birth, early innovation, creativity. Second is activities: gathering resources, little planning or coordination. Third is issues: lack of coordination, cohesion, diverse ideals. As an example from the movie Social Network, the first early innovation of Facebook takes place after Mark Zuckerberg has the idea to create a website to rate the attractiveness of female Harvard undergraduates. Mark hacks into the database of various residence halls, downloads pictures and names of female students, and using an algorithm for ranking chess players supplied by his best friend Eduardo Savine, he creates in a few hours a website called facemash.com, which will soon turn into facebook.com. Therefore, the birth of Facebook starts off from the idea of facemash.com. The creative niche drives from Mark and his amazing programming skills. Gathering resources comes from Mark's collaborating with his best friend Eduardo and another roommate to combine diverse ideas. As a side note, Mark did this while he was under the influence, which highlights lack of cohesion. Collectivity stage. Under collectivity stage are concepts: high cohesion, commitment; activities: sense of mission, ongoing innovation, long hours, informal communication, and structure; issues: need for efficiency, coordination, and control. Therefore, the popularity of FaceMash and the fact that he created it in one night brings him to the attention of Cameron Winklevoss and Tyler Winklevoss and their business partner David Narendra. As a result, the Winklevoss twins want Mark to work as the programmer of their website Harvard Connection. It is at that moment Mark realizes his sense of mission to create Facebook, an online social networking website. This is an example from the film of Mark realizing the need to take action on the structure of the Facebook program and start the long hours of commitment. Formalization and control stage. Under formalization and control stage are concepts: stability, institutionalization; activities: formalization of rules and structure, emphasis on efficiency and maintenance; issues: rigidity, non-adaptability. In efforts to stabilize Facebook, Mark collaborates with another business partner, Napster co-founder Sean Parker, while Eduardo remains in New York for seeking advertising support. That summer, Mark makes some serious moves with the company by transferring the company's base of operation to Palo Alto, California, at Parker's suggestion. After an argument with Mark, the vindictive Eduardo freezes the company's bank account and returns to New York. Mark angrily calls him on the phone about freezing the Facebook account and reveals that they have secured money from angel investors through Parker's contacts. When Eduardo freezes the bank account, this makes Mark feel like he has no control over Facebook and seems to throw the structure off, since Mark feels that the work Eduardo is doing is not helping Facebook grow. Lastly is structure, elaboration, and adaptation stage. Under this stage are concepts: domain, expansion, decentralization; activities, adaptation, decentralization, expansion; issues, problems from previous stages. A few months later, Mark decides to expand the site to more schools. By spring of 2004, Facebook grows in popularity and it expands to other schools in the northeastern United States. While the site's features have continued to develop, Facebook is no longer marginalized by universities. However, Facebook has expanded for everyone with a valid email address. Users can now give gifts to friends, post free classified advertisements, and even develop their own applications. This month, the company announced that the number of registered users had reached 30 million, making it the largest social networking site with an education focus. This, however, does bring problems towards Mark. As Facebook grew, Mark ends up with 2 lawsuits against him, one from his best friend Eduardo, whose ownership of the company was slowly diluted, and one from the Winklevoss twins, who became angry at seeing their ideal advance with zero ownership of the company. This is an example of 2 major problems Mark and the company faced through the growth of Facebook. Intervention strategy. A potential intervention strategy would be communication. If Mark and Eduardo had better communication towards one another about the direction of Facebook instead of working independently, then maybe their friendship could have been saved, and Mark would not be facing a $65 million lawsuit. Facebook is just one of the many examples of how an organization goes through a life cycle of birth, growth, maturity, and death. Very few organizations go through a life cycle without having to overcome hurdles, and Facebook was no exception. Mark and the Facebook company experienced lawsuits and loss of friendships. With today's society being very internet dependent and fascinated by what others are doing, Facebook is not going away anytime soon. It has paved the way for other social media networks to this day. Currently, Facebook is still thriving and growing with no signs of decline or